What makes Scott Anderson such a great singer and such a great frontman? It's a powerful dude up there.
Yeah, his tone is unmatched to me. He's got one of to me, he's got one of the best voices in rock. Not just again, not just because we're good friends and he's the singer in the band that I play in. He's had a voice that no matter what volume he's at in a mix, he's somehow the loudest thing in the mix. You know what I mean? Like if you muted that guy's vocals, he'd still come through. Like he's so powerful, um, and lyrically phenomenal. And what solidified that was watching fans approach him after a show, being like, "Hey, I just got to let you know, like you helped me through the darkest, times of my life, and I had a death in the family, and you really got me through it with one thing, and all these things." So it's like when you see that too, it's like, holy shit, like it's exactly what I thought, it was at the time, and that just cemented that. But his voice is phenomenal.
Is Sean Anderson the most underrated bass player of all time?
100%.
Because when I've
100%.
so this is my third deep dive interview with a Finger 11 member. So I've listened to the entire discography with
Yeah.
great studio headphones. I don't know how 5 times I've gone through the whole discography. And one thing that is apparent when you listen to all the Finger 11 music is the bass playing is unbelievable. There are so many hooks with the bass. Like if you muted the bass and
Yep.
listen to the entire discography, Finger 11 would not be Finger 11. It is so memorable, so catchy, so many hooks. I mean, you think just so unique. You think of like Drag You Down, which is such a heavy song. And then there's like kind of this like jazzy, like,
Yeah. It's like a reggae thing. Like he's playing all in the.
It's like this walking bass
yeah.
in the verse that is so like counter to the rest of the song.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
anyways, anything you can say about Sean Anderson?
Yeah. So, well, to that point, like listen to obviously Paralyzer, like solo that bass track. Nuts. Falling on, Living a Dream. Like he's so creative. He is for sure, to your point, one of the most underrated bass players. And I'll give a little insight to that. I'm editing right now the Finger 11 live. I'm compiling all the songs and picking which mics are going where with audience mics and all that stuff. And I'm soloing his bass track, and I'm playing it along to the click. And I even sent him. I sent him a video of like it was like 1 minute of could have been First Time or something like that, and it was so locked on the grid. I don't like. There's nothing you have to nudge or like that. It's perfect. And I sent him that. He's like, and he thinks the opposite, right? Like he thinks like, oh man, he works. Nobody works harder than Sean, right? So when we're rehearsing, I know he's going back and he's playing the song still. He's still rehearsing the songs at home, and like he just wants every show to be his best show, and it comes through because he's the most rock solid guy in the band, in my opinion, by far. Not only that I think he cares the most, right? But it comes through in his playing, and I'm listening to like these solo tracks on the live album. It's like, man, this guy is. I've always known he was solid, but when you get to hear it now, right? Because you hear it with, loud in-ear monitors with guitars and drums and vocals, but when you hear it soloed, it's like, holy shit, this guy is phenomenal. He's very, very, very good. And like before shows, like 10 minutes before set time, he's like, hey, so in tip, we extend it. How long? He goes, I just want to make sure, like we extend it like 4 bars, and then we do that little tag thing, and then you play that fill. I'm like, yeah, Sean, like we got it, right? Like you'll nail it. He's like, I know, I just want to make sure, because I know we changed it like last show. I just want to make sure that we're doing that still. Like he's always so on the ball, not just on stage. Like if it's the guys can attest to this. If Sean Anderson is not in this band, I don't know if this band still exists. Seriously, that guy takes care of everything. Like not just on stage with how he plays his parts, but off stage. Like anytime we're traveling between shows, guess who's driving? Sean. Guess who's gassing up? Sean. Guess who's booking the hotels? Sean. Guess who's advancing pretty much everything? It's Sean. So I can't say enough about that guy.
He's the consummate professional.
It,
Every band needs one guy like him that holds everything together, you know?
yeah, oh yeah, I'm probably one of the sweetest guys you'll meet.
And how much fun is it to play live with two crazy guitarists
Oh
like
man,
Rick
I
Jacket
still
and
watch
James
them.
Black that
Yeah.
are absolute madmen on stage? And they're doing the craziest
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
throwing guitars in the air, guitar around the neck, taking off the strap and playing it without the strap on, and
Yeah.
never missing a note. What can you say about the two guitarists?
Yeah. They're that's like Maniac 1 and Maniac 2, right?
They deserve each other.
Big time. They're the like they're as they're like they belong together, those guys, like on stage. Like their dynamic is incredible, right? You can't say enough about them. Like just aside from like they wrote those incredible parts, those guitar parts, right? So that already in itself um is is uh is incredible. But how they bring those parts to life on a live stage, I remember watching them for the first time being on this side of the stage, um, just watching them move. And I remember Rick once just watching like throw a guitar up in the air, and I'm watching it I'm like, holy shit. And he catches it like perfectly on the
Into the
downbeat,
chord. Yeah.
right? Or like, I remember him playing. So the way he plays above, it's like, in drop tuning, whatever. So like the first chord is open, and he throws it up in the air with the open chord, then catches it on the fret, then catches it on the next fret, and you're hearing it. It's like right in time and like right in tune. You're like, holy shit! Like to do that, that's a whole different thing. That's like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of guys that can play guitar, but can a lot of guys do that? No, not even close. They wouldn't even dare attempt that. And that's what those guys are doing live. And I think aside from the songs and having these hit songs, that has to be why fans keep coming back. It's not just the songs, right? Like if you're a fan, okay, I can hear these songs as many times as I want on Spotify or on the CDs that I bought. But they got to keep coming back, because like, what are they going to do next? How high is Rick going to toss his guitar this show, right? And that I still watch that live, and it's still a cool show for me to watch, right? Because nothing's more boring than just watching guys in front of you.
It's like performance art up there.
It is, man. It's incredible. I feel like it's so hard to do, and you got to do it every night, right? And even those times where, I remember Rick once, he's like, man, he goes, yeah, my feet like today are just like killing. I got these new shoes or whatever it was, and he's like, it's not something happened where it's like my ankle like kind of kills, and it was like a first show back in a while. He's like, I don't know, I might take it easy tonight. And I knew right away, it's like, that's such bullshit. He's not going to take it easy. So he goes on stage and like song 1, he's already like spinning around, like throwing the guitar. I'm like, yeah, there's no way he can stay away from that. And that's what makes it's such a good, like, that's what makes him such a good performer, that it's like, doesn't matter how I'm feeling. They paid money to come see the show that they think they're going to see. So I got to deliver. And that's what those guys do every single night.
And James Black might be the most creative person I've ever met. He just like oozes art, like whether it's music or anything else.
Some of those, like, whether it's some of those guitar parts that he's playing, to even now, like we're working on new stuff. So like every day we get these updates from James designing cover art and stuff for vinyl, and he's a wizard, man. The guy's incredible. He's super creative, right? He's one of those creators that like doesn't ever stop creating, right? You don't take a like the true creatives don't take a break from creating. They're just always creating at a certain capacity, whether it's writing a song or whether it's drawing or directing a music video. Like that's James always.
I have a funny story about how creative James is. Do you remember the app Draw Something? So there was like this worldwide craze where there was this app Draw Something. So you would connect with people that you're friends with on Facebook. So for example, if you and I were friends, I would send you a request saying, hey, do you want to play Draw Something? And you basically, they give you a word and you try to draw it. And then the other person has to guess what your drawing is. And most people are pretty bad, and it's funny. So It's so funny. I somehow had James Black on Facebook, which meant I could send him a draw something request. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So I send him a draw something request and he accepts it. So I have my word and I draw some like horrible stick man trying to show something. And it's like, he's like, oh, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
He sends one back and he literally drew me like the Mona Lisa of draw something. Like it was like, I could have sold that for $10,000. He drew like exactly whatever the word was. And it was the greatest art I've ever seen. And he did it like with his finger on an app. Yeah. So
he's nuts. He's so creative. And one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. Like he's a super funny guy. He always makes this joke. I think it was at like the 4 or 5 year mark of me being in the band, and I was on the kit, ready for sound check, and he looks at me. He's like, "Oh, cool! Like you're still here. Like you're still in the gig. Like just." And he always just makes that joke. It's like, "Oh, cool, man." Or after a show, he'd be like, "Man, like you play well. Like you for sure. Yeah, at least you got like another year with us, kind of thing, right?" Like he's always like making that comment. Super funny guy.